name is Mark, I'm your driver, and today I want to bring you back in time a little bit, back to a time when the M4 did not have all-wheel drive, it didn't have its competition Xdrive spec, the interiors had buttons in them, and the B58 had yet to become what it is today, which is the first word in aftermarket tuning. And that's where the owner tells me that this car comes in. It's a 440i Xdrive Gran Coupe. And back in the day, he was looking at a bunch of different cars, bunch of different BMW cars. And so he was caught in a position where, well, he has children, so he needs to put them somewhere and needs to put them somewhere easily, hence the two rear doors. He was also in a position where he lives in Canada, where the winters are a little bit unpredictable and you need a little bit of extra ground clearance and a little bit more traction, stability, and predictability when you're on the roads. So that's where Xdrive comes from. Now, the compromise that this is making is that it is a 4-door, 4 Series coupe, which has been effectively retrofitted to be a sedan. And it's also not an M car, it's a 440i before the M440i. So my question for this video is exactly how much M car are you losing when you step down to an M Lite? On the road now with the 440, we are getting to see what comfort mode is like and if it's comfortable and how much of that M sportiness has been dialed out of it. So we're just coming up to a little bump. That's wonderful. It's a little bit floaty, I'd say, but certainly in a good way. It feels more like you're sailing over the pavement as opposed to perhaps being glued to it in true M fashion. But it's making sure that my spine is the same shape as when I entered the car, which is really good. And the same, I'll be honest, cannot be said for some M cars. I know that on broken pavement and in the city, the M8 feels like it's tiptoeing, and not in a good way, because that is a big car that should not feel tiptoey. It should, that's a big Grand Touring cruiser that should, you know, glide, but it's kind of got this jittery sort of nervousness to it that this just doesn't. Now that we are on a bit of a longer road, I can talk to you just briefly about the fuel economy on this thing, which is shockingly impressive. Right now, I'm doing 75 k's an hour and getting 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers. This makes 355 horsepower. It's a sports sedan. It should not get 6 liters per 100 kilometers. That's a little nuts. So what I've done is I've turned up the gain on the camera a little bit, so hopefully you can hear a bit more of what I'm hearing, whether that be wind, tire, road noise, and just see what it's like in comfort mode going for a bit of a cruise. So I've left the aircon on, setting 3 because I'm a little hot and sweaty, and that's highly unflattering on camera. But hopefully you're able to hear what the car sounds like. You can see that now I've put the GoPro back on my head, but what you can't see is that there's a microphone in the trunk there so that we can have a perfect, unadulterated listen to the factory M Performance Power and Sound Kit exhaust. Now, I have to say every time that it is factory, because it's absurd. I'll let you listen, but pretty much in its comfort mode, it's a valved exhaust. In its comfort mode, it's perfectly docile. Now, this is incredibly loud pavement apparently, but you can't really hear the exhaust all that much. You can hear a little bit of turbo in between shifts, but really not a whole lot of anything. It's a little bit raspy, it's, you know, it's a little bit sporty, but it's nothing crazy. Now, when you put it into sport mode, this car exhibits the worst case of split identity that I have ever experienced in a vehicle. The suspension stiffens up, the steering weight's up, the variable rack tightens up, and the car becomes an entirely different animal. It's bananas. The sounds and gunshots that this puts out the back are, honest to God, gonna leave your neighbors deaf or with tinnitus. It's so loud. And they sold it like that, which is the coolest part. So let's pop it up here and let's explore some bends. Stiffens right up. Oh, I'm sorry, convertible Camaro. Didn't give us any pops there. Okay. That's enough of that. That's enough to hurt someone. So you can see what I mean. It sounds pretty good. It turns into a totally different car with a bit of drone. Oh God, I feel almost embarrassed driving it when it sounds like this. So let's do just a little U-turn and attack those corners once more. It's just a rolling laugh factory now. Just a totally yabbo-mobile. Like, gearbox is nice and snappy. Oh my god. This seems like a pretty decent place to do a quick little 0 to 60. So to do that, we will go into Sport Plus, which activates dynamic traction control. And then what we do is we just straighten up the wheel, put it into S1, foot hard down on the brake, push right past the kickdown switch, and we'll be good to go. Friggin' rapid. It just, okay, it's only 355 horsepower, but it uses all of it, all of the time. So, like, you just get crushed back into your seat. So yeah, it only has 355 horsepower, but the thing about this 355 horsepower is that because of Xdrive, you have it all of the time. Always. It just always grips so hard. So that 369 pound-feet of torque is available from 1500 to something like 5500. So you just have mountains, gobs of torque everywhere in the rev range. It never feels like it's wanting for more power or hunting for power. It is just always where it needs to be. Let's do it again. Now that that camera has died and we are out of sport mode, I can comfortably say that it is not a full M car. However, it comes very close. So there's a few things, if I really have to nitpick, the first of which, suspension is still a little bit too soft. Now, this is more of a Grand Tour, it's not a full M car, it's totally understandable, and I like my back the way it is and not in a nice powder. So suspension is fine by me. The next item is shift speeds. The shift speeds are really fast, but I think could be a little bit faster. It's got a couple hangups on the downshifts, but again, like the B58, the ZF8HP is a wonderful transmission, and the tuning possibilities are absolutely endless. So you can probably have this thing shifting as fast as a dual clutch in no time. But as it is, I gotta say, it does give you a really hefty kick in the back, which is really cool in between shifts. You shift and bah! That's really cool to me. Just adds a little bit of drama. Aside from that, Xdrive. It's not the newer Xdrive systems that are able to decouple the front axle on their own or do Xdrive Sport mode or anything like that. I'm assuming it's a 70-30 split just based off how it feels. It is prone to understeer, so it will push at the limits. However, the limits are very high, and all you have to do to correct for that understeer is sorry, he wanted the smoke. So, oh god, I totally forgot where I was. Understeer, probably. All you have to do to correct that understeer is just either lift off or apply a little dab of brake, and you're all good. It gets you sorted out. This car makes you feel like a driving god, and so secure and so safe while carrying unbelievable speed for not an M car, for an M light. It really does a great job, especially for what it is and what its competition is. And the aftermarket potential of this thing is absolutely bananas. So with that said, I think I'm gonna close it out before I get shot by a Ram driver. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, provided I don't get killed right now.